Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Tuesday, February 9th, and I am wearing, this is a real, authentic FDNY, Fire Department of New York helmet. Retro. This belonged to my dad, who was in FDNY. He was a New York City firefighter, no longer with us. But firefighters are the real heroes, okay? Along with healthcare workers, grocery store employees, all these people that take care of us, not the Wall Street people. Now, I take money from the Wall Street crowd because they're ill-informed. They are emotional. They have no mental game. My people, SEAL Team 6. Now that's a term that I've used in the past. I haven't used that for a while now, but I'm going to go back to that. SEAL Team 6. You know SEAL Team 6. Navy SEALs, that's the elite unit. Those are the guys who took out Osama bin Laden. Well, we are SEAL Team 6 of the investing, trading fraternity. Because we understand MMT. We apply this knowledge. We take advantage of investors and traders who are emotional, who don't understand how the financial system works. We're like a little attack squadron that goes in there when there's emotional moves. We take their money. Look at the British pound, folks. I've been saying this for what? For 5 years. I mean, if you go back to when the original Brexit vote in 2016, and they sold off the pound like a bunch of maniacs, and I said, number one, it's gonna recover. It'll take some time, but it's gonna recover. Number two, Brexit is bullish for the pound, okay? Number three, I said Brexit will have no negative effect overall on the UK economy. And all of those things that I said are coming true. All right, folks, let's talk a little bit about the XL pipeline. You know, every time I post something up on Twitter about how I feel it was good that Biden canceled the XL pipeline, I get a lot of pushback. People say, oh, it's killing jobs. You know, we can sell our oil and make money. First of all, you understand the XL pipeline was set up to transit Canadian tar sands, heavy oil, across the heartland of the United States so it can be exported via the cheaper transportation hub in the Gulf in Houston. So literally, it's Canada exporting its oil through cheaper transport facilities in the Gulf to the rest of the world. Americans do not receive the bounty of this oil. It does not go towards energy independence, that's just false anyway, because we're a net exporter now of crude. Not crude, but crude and petroleum products. Basically, we are tipping into a net export balance, all right? So we take the environmental risk. America does. We get none, and look, these pipelines, they leak, all right? There's accidents. It's running right through the middle of the country to get to the Gulf, and then it's exported. So we take the environmental risk. We basically get nothing in return. Do we get dollars? Wow, whoopee. We get paper dollars that the U.S. government has the ability to create, to infinity, basically. Oil is a finite resource. It would be one thing if we get the oil and it does, go to our abundance of that resource, but it's not. It's getting exported. So, I mean, there's no use for the pipeline. Now, if you talk about the 15,000 jobs or something like that, I mean, jobs get lost and created every single day through, new industries, innovation, technology. I mean, if you want to use that argument, we can go back to whale oil in the 19th century. When we switched over from whale oil for heating and industrial uses to petroleum, you lost a lot of whale oil jobs too. A lot of whalers, a lot of seamen lost their jobs. I mean, you can't make this argument because anyway, we are in a transition right now from fossil fuels into alternative energy. And I'm not saying, electric cars and electric vehicles are going to be the ultimate place where we reside. I mean, it might be a temporary transition. I mean, it might last, 20, 30, 50 years, who knows, until we get to some other technology, fusion or whatever. Or, it may be the energy source of the future. But I mean, there's no question that we are in a transition period when it comes to moving away from fossil fuels into other forms of energy. So, I mean, to build that pipeline, which basically facilitates exports of Canadian oil to the rest of the world, I mean, foreigners get the bounty of that. Foreigners get that benefit. We might take a haircut on the sale because it's transiting that pipeline through the United States. Maybe we get a piece of the action on the sale of that oil. Maybe we get dollars. Maybe we get Chinese currency. Maybe we get, who knows, euro. I mean, you want the oil. That's the finite resource. Money is a keystroke on a computer. Money is a tax credit. It can be created infinitely. So, I mean, it's a bad trade-off. It is a bad trade-off. And if you argue for the pipeline from the standpoint that, hey, you're going to lose all these jobs, listen, that happens all the time. New technologies, innovation, that creates jobs too. So, I mean, understand that we are transitioning away from fossil fuels, and we're in the process. It's not going to turn around. To build a major infrastructure like that, where there's environmental risk, and we really get none of the benefit, I mean, it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. What else? Markets basically up today, up to flat. Fiscal flows remain very strong. And that's going to remain the case. I keep saying it. I mean, that's not going to change. At least not in the first year of the Biden administration. I mean, he's going all out. They're going to try to push this stimulus. Oh, I got to say something about these. I know what I wanted to talk about. I watched an interview today with Sam Zell on CNBC. I don't watch CNBC, all right, because it's garbage. But I saw part of his interview on Twitter, all right? And he said, my greatest fear. Now this guy, if you don't know who this guy is, he is a vulture real estate investor, right? Like he's made billions of dollars just buying when there's blood in the streets, when things are really, really depressed, which is, that's the strategy. That's what you should be doing. So I give him a lot of credit for that. But he says, my greatest fear, his greatest fear, nightmare, he said his greatest nightmare is if the dollar loses reserve currency status. And he said, I'm really worried if we put through a stimulus here and the economy gets too excited. He says excited. Now, first of all, how do you excite? What do you mean by excited? It's not a person. It's not, it's not an animate object. It's an inanimate object. Folks, let me tell you something, and let me tell Sam Zell something. An adjustment in the exchange rate of the dollar, even if it's down, is not going to cause a loss of the dollar's status as reserve currency. However, sanctions, weaponizing the dollar, making the dollar hard for other countries to utilize because of some kind of economic punishment or sanction, limiting the availability of the dollar to basically attack or limit, that will ultimately get the dollar, out of reserve currency status. And the world has caught on to this. I mean, this is something that the United States, this is a policy created by Trump. He basically came in, this dollar-based global financial system, which has been in existence for over 50 years, really like 75 years, he came in with a sledgehammer and smashed it. That's what Sam Zell should be having his worst nightmare about. Not that we're about to give stimulus to the economy, which needs it in a pandemic, just so there's sufficient income that the economy doesn't crater into a depression. But he says nothing about that. But that's the thing that Sam Zell should be worried about. Anyway, go to my website, pitbulleconomics.com, sign up for a 30-day free trial of MMT Trader, and become a member of SEAL Team 6. See you tomorrow. Bye.